الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ولكل وجهة هو موليها فاستبقوا الخيرات أينما تكونوا يأت بكم الله جميعا إن الله على كل شيء قدير इस आयत का तर्जुमा है कि और हर एक के लिए एक मतमय नज़र है.
Masroor says that the translation of this verse is, and everyone has a goal which dominates him. Vie then with one another in good works. Wherever you may be, Allah will bring you all together. Surely Allah has the power to do all that He wills.
इस आयत में खुदा ताला ने एक ऐसा हुक्म इरशाद फरमाया है जो हर
In this verse, Allah the Almighty has given such a commandment which is essential for all types of progress of every member of the Jamaat. That is to say, such types of progress which become a means of achieving the pleasure of God the Almighty. They also make one who claims to be a Muslim into a true Muslim. It is also essential for the progress of the Jamaat collectively. That instruction that has been given is that the aim of a true believer, the aim of a true Muslim, the aim of the community of true believers and Muslims should be to excel one another in the performing of virtuous acts. God the Exalted states that there are millions and billions of people living on the earth. Virtually all of them have an objective for their life. They make efforts to try and fulfill that aim. There are some who are busy trying to fulfill such and such purpose, whilst others are engaged in trying to achieve some other objective. Even wicked or bad people have a purpose which they endeavor to try and fulfill. Whether that may lead to detrimental or bad results, or whether it causes harm and suffering to others. For example, take a thief. He spends most of his day planning how and where to carry out his theft at night. Or take bandits. They form plans for the purpose of carrying out their banditry. There are some who have made their aim and purpose to carry out injustices in the name of virtue and in the name of religion. And they scheme to this end. They train innocent children for this purpose. They expend time and money for this aim. Through a long period of training, they empty the children's mind completely of thought and reason. Thereafter, they use them for suicide attacks. After utilizing them for these suicide attacks, they waste the lives of innocent persons.
ये जुल्म करने वाले
Unfortunately, at the current time, the majority of those who carry out this oppression are those who call themselves Muslims.
और मजहब के नाम
Such people cause this disorder and strife, this cruelty and barbarity, and this playing with the lives of innocent people, all in the name of religion.
ये लोग और यूं इस्लाम की खूबसूरत तालीम को
As such, they are responsible for defaming the beautiful teachings of Islam and humiliating the reputation of Muslims.
जिन लोगों के लिए जिस मजहब में जिस मजहब के
Those
वालों के लिए
very Muslims for whom Allah the Almighty had assigned the aim, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ.
यानी हर किस्म की नेकियों में
In other words, in all types of virtues, to excel one another is your objective.
नेकी का
Your ultimate purpose is not to carry out just one virtue or good deed. In fact, to carry out all types of virtues and good deeds and to excel with one another in them should be your aim and goal. This is your purpose that Allah the Almighty has assigned for you.
हर किस्म की नेकी करना
Your objective is to perform all virtuous acts.
तुम्हारा मकसद है तभी तुम हकीकी न-
It is
मुमिन कहलाओगे।
only then that you can be deemed a true believer.
अल्लाह ताला फरमाता है
Allah the Almighty states,
कुल्लुन विजहतुन हुवा मुवल्ली।
وَلِكُلٍّ وِجْهَةٌ هُوَ مُوَلِّيهَا.
एक मतबा नजर होता है
And everyone has a goal which he turns towards, or which he makes into his purpose and objective.
विजहतुन के मानी है
The meanings of wijhatun are a direction, a course, or a cause.
मानी रास्ते और तरीके भी हैं
It also means path or method,
किसी मकसद
and it also means to achieve an objective.
के लिए
Therefore, the condition has been placed for a believer that he should face towards, he should look to that direction which Allah the Almighty has commanded him to look or face towards. Further, he should not just look to that direction alone. In fact, there are many paths in that direction which he is looking. He should adopt that path which Allah the Almighty has commanded to adopt.
फिर सिर्फ मुंह उठाकर चलते ही नहीं चले
Even further, he should not just go on walking towards that
इस
path.
रास्ते पर चलने की
Rather, the reason for treading on that path is to achieve a particular objective. That purpose is which Allah the Almighty has assigned for us.
यानी फस्तबिकुल खैरात
That is to say, فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ, to not only perform virtuous acts, but rather to elevate the standard of those good deeds. Moreover, it is to excel one another in the doing of those good deeds.
से
However, it is not only to excel with one another in the performing of those good works. Rather, it is also to help those along who are weak or who are lagging behind.
यानी जमाती तरक्की
This means that a believer always keeps in view the progress of the Jamaat collectively.
इसलिए हकीकी मोमिन वही है
It is for this reason that a true believer is he who, when he progresses and advances, he also makes efforts for the progress of the rest of the Jamaat.
उनको भी
He also attaches along those others in the race to perform virtues and good deeds.
मौके मुहैया करने की
He also finds opportunities for them as well to progress forward.
ताकि
He does this so that the wheel of progress of the community rapidly continues spinning forward.
जमात अहमदिया यानी वो जमात
Jamaat Ahmadiyya, that Jamaat which, because of being attached to the ardent devotee of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, has been established to spread that goodness which the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, brought with his advent. This goodness includes Huququllah, the rights due to Allah, and Huquq al-Ibad, the rights due to mankind. This goodness includes worship and service to creation and all of humanity. For the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was sent by Allah the Almighty as a mercy for the entire human race.
इंसानियत की खिदमत
Service to humanity can be carried out by spreading goodness alone.
रहमत को
It can be carried out by disseminating mercy.
जैसा कि मैंने कहा पहले मिसाल दी थी
As I gave the example earlier, there are some people who perform bad deeds. They train children for this purpose. This service cannot be undertaken by taking the lives of innocent children or utilizing them for suicide attacks. It cannot be carried out through bombs, fighting, and causing strife.
दुनिया में मिनहसुल जमात
Thus, today, as a collective community, it is only the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat who are active in providing a share of the mercy to all mankind, to the world, and to spread goodness to mankind.
और इसका हक अदा करने के
It is undertaking its level best efforts in order to fulfill this right.
ये कोशिश
This effort is also carried out by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat by presenting to the world the beautiful teaching of Islam and its message.
दुनिया को देकर भी है कुरान करीम
This effort is also carried out by publishing the Holy Quran. It is also by translating the Holy Quran in various local and regional dialects and languages and then disseminating those translations.
आला अखलाकियात
This endeavor is also carried out by the Jamaat by teaching the world the highest moral standards. The Jamaat also undertakes this effort by presenting to the world the teaching of love and affection. This effort is also carried out by serving humanity through the means of hospitals of the community and providing treatment to the suffering.
दराज इलाकों में तालीम से बेबहरा
It is also undertaken by providing the beautification of education in far off areas where children are bereft of education. It is also undertaken by providing proper perception of what goodness actually is. Most of all, it is carried out by the Jamaat by bringing people under the banner of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and making them into those who submit to the one God. Thus, the mission of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is no ordinary mission.
जो अहद बैत हमने
The covenant of initiation that we have bonded with the Imam of this time is no ordinary pledge.
इसके पूरा करने के लिए हमें
In order to fulfill this covenant, we have to make our aim and purpose that which Allah the Almighty has appointed for us.
जिसकी मैं कुछ वजाहत कर चुका हूँ कि अल्लाह
I
ताला
have explained this somewhat already. This entails that in order to achieve the pleasure of Allah, to tread on those paths that takes one towards God.
इन रास्तों पर भी जैसा कि शैतान ने कहा था
As Satan has declared himself, along these paths one may have to confront Satan.
जो नेकियों के बजा लाने से
He will strive to hinder people from performing good deeds.
नेकियों के मयार
Satan will try to be an impediment in anyone's effort to elevate the level of their virtues.
दिल से निकली हुई ये दुआ
However, the prayer that emanates from one's heart, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, guide us in the straight path, the path of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy blessings, will continue proving to be an antidote or remedy to Satan's attacks.
मोमिन
And a believer will go on reaching the heights of virtue, and he will continue receiving the honor of being in the Khairi Ummah, the best people.
बस इसके हसूल के लिए
Therefore, in order to acquire this, every one of our elders, youth, man, woman, elder and child, should make full efforts
तमाम किस्म की नेकियां अपना
by adopting all forms of virtue.
हमारे लिए
We need to and should achieve that aim and purpose that Allah the Almighty has assigned for us. For this, we must make efforts.
अल्लाह ताला ने जो कुरान करीम में जिन नेकियों के करने का एक
Amongst the good deeds that Allah the Almighty has commanded believers to perform in the Holy Quran, one is anfaq fi sabilillah, financial sacrifices in the path of Allah.
माली कुर्बानी भी उन मकासद के लिए ज़रूरी है
Financial sacrifices are essential for those objectives which, as I mentioned earlier, the propagation of Islam and service of humanity.
अहमदिया की तारीख गवाह है
The history of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat bears witness that for the last approximately 125 years, in order to achieve these objectives, the members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat have continued to make financial sacrifices. These sacrifices and this virtue has become such a hallmark of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat that observing it, non-Ahmadis become astounded and perturbed. For they do not have the perception and discernment of what passion has prompted them to carry out these sacrifices. Most certainly, the spirit is born in an Ahmadi, because in accordance with the command of Allah the Almighty, He has made His aim and goal fastabiqul khairat, vying with one another in the doing of good works. Thus today, on the face of the earth, it is only Ahmadis, it is only you people who are the embodiment of kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas, that you are the best people raised for the good of mankind. And thus have upheld and strive to tread upon fastabiqul khairat, vying with one another in the excelling of good works. In order to carry out good works, to go on excelling with one another in them for the progress of the Jamaat, and to disseminate the message of Islam all across the world, you continue to sacrifice your life, wealth, time and honor. No enemy and no force can stop the progress of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. No government and no group can slow the progress of our progress as long as we continue to maintain the spirit of fastabiqul khairat, vying with one another in the doing of good works. Further, that ardent devotee of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, we have accepted and pledged to play a part in the rejuvenation and revival of Islam. This pledge will never let us reduce or decrease the spirit of excelling with one another in the performing of virtuous acts. Observing the passion of excelling one another in the doing of good works and the spirit of sacrifice, we are sometimes astonished. I am also astounded by the type of people who make sacrifices and the immense sacrifices they make. These are people who perform virtuous deeds. They remain firm on performing these with steadfastness. Allah the Almighty has granted such sincere people to the promised Messiah ﷺ and his community, who with a permanent endeavor continue making these sacrifices. These are such people who have understood the essence of fastabiqul khairat. Fastabiqu means to continuously excel forward. Istabaq means to permanently excel one another and to go on making efforts in this respect. This istabaq, this excelling one another, is observed amongst the members of the Jamaat in different manners. Amongst these virtues, as I mentioned, is financial sacrifice. Every year, with the grace of the Almighty Allah, for this purpose, the Jamaat makes sacrifices. These include new entrants into the Jamaat and also old Ahmadis. This includes poor people and also people of middle standing, and also those who are relatively wealthy. Whoever has been made to realize the importance of financial sacrifice strives to excel one another in this act of virtue. If there is any shortcoming, it is in those people who have to make people realize the significance of financial sacrifice. With the grace of Allah, there is no shortcoming in the devotion and sincerity of the members of the Jamaat. As I mentioned, the majority of the members of the Jamaat are those who are on a low income. Thus, it is these very people who make up the majority of those who make financial sacrifices. they eliminate many of their personal desires to partake in financial sacrifices. Indeed, there are many who are well off and enjoy financial affluence. They also make great sacrifices. However, in comparison to those who are on a low income, their sacrifices, in terms of the standard and level of sacrifice, and also in terms of numbers, is much less than those on a low income. At present, Allah the Almighty has granted most abundantly to the Ahmadis living in Western countries. Or it can be said that a very large majority are in far improved circumstances as comparison to before, with the grace of the Almighty Allah. Allah the Almighty has granted them most amply. Such people should not look at only their own sacrifices. Rather, they should not be satisfied upon only their own amount of sacrifice. In fact, they need to also look that whether the sacrifice they give the following year has progressed in comparison to the sacrifice they made in the preceding year. If it has not progressed, if it is static, then it is a matter of concern. As I stated, that generally speaking, Ahmadis understand the spirit of excelling one another in the doing of good works. For this, an Ahmadi makes efforts and endeavors. In addition to permanent chandas, there are also appeals that are made from time to time. The members of the Jamaat also make great sacrifices for these. Some appeals or schemes are made to fulfill the needs of a local Jamaat somewhere or the other. There are some financial schemes or appeals that are made for the national project of a certain Jamaat. In many countries, centrally, there are mosque projects or other projects underway. And these financial schemes and appeals are made because these needs and requirements cannot be covered through the permanent chandas. Thus, in addition to the permanent chandas, the members of the Jamaat are making immense sacrifices. The vast majority are those who make such sacrifices. Here, I would like to clarify one matter. The chandas of Tehreek-e-Jadid and Waqf-e-Jadid all together are such chandas which are markazi or central. They are not spent on local or national expenditure of Jamaats. Or if the Tehreek-e-Jadid or Waqf-e-Jadid chanda is kept within some poor countries, then it is not on the discretion of those countries. In fact, it is spent with the approval of the markaz or center. So at times, in the minds of the people of certain wealthy countries, the thought arises that if these are central chandas, which are not even being spent on us, thus why should we so comprehensively partake in these schemes? We have our own projects. As I said, there are some local and national projects that are running in countries. They presume that we should fulfill our own expenditure first. The first point is that when for the sake of acquiring the pleasure of Allah the Almighty you are making financial sacrifices, then raising such questions is wrong altogether. Secondly, there are many expenses of the markaz or the center. There are numerous projects in poor countries, including African countries, Asian countries, including India, Bangladesh, and so on. In fact, even in some European countries where the population of the Jamaat is small, they are included amongst those countries which the markaz or center gives expenditure towards. There are also some talented students. The markaz or the center also provides expenditure for their education. Thus, all of this is covered through the money that the markaz or the center receives from the Jamaats.
फिर फस्तबिकुल खैरात की रूह
Further, the spirit of Fastabiqul Khairat, vying with one another in the doing of good works, is that the small Jamaats, the poor Jamaats, or the weak Jamaats should be taken along. This is so that they can be successful in the eyes of Allah,
को भी
in the sense that they continuously endeavored to help along the weaker amongst them. Further on in that same verse of the Holy Quran that I recited, Allah the Almighty also says, أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يَأْتِ بِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا. Wherever you may be, Allah will bring you all together.
जब इकट्ठे होकर
That is to say, when collectively you will present yourselves. Those who maintain that spirit of excelling one another in the performing of virtuous deeds will be victorious. Those who are constantly slack, who avoided helping others, who constantly raise the question that why should we spend for others, will be questioned themselves.
इक्का दुक्का
Therefore, even if this question is raised by just a handful of people, it is contradictory to that spirit, the teaching of which is given to an Ahmadi, and which Allah the Almighty desires from us.
मरकज़ के खर्चों का मैंने जिक्र किया है
I mentioned the expenditure of the Markaz, the center. I will also provide a brief overview today of this, so that you will come to have knowledge how every Jamaat of the world is not running or being supported through its own expenses, but much of the expenditure in the form of the Markaz grant is given to the Jamaat in the world, which is given from that amount which the Markaz receives from the Jamaats.
और दीगर
For example, the countries of Africa and the other non-self-sufficient countries which require support make up 78 countries. 27 countries from Africa, 18 countries of Europe, 15 countries of Asia and the Far East, 6 countries of South America, and 2 countries of North America.
और इस साल सिर्फ एक बड़ी रकम
This year alone, a large amount of money was spent on the construction of the mosques and mission houses there.
तमीर पर इसके अलावा क्लिनिक्स स्कूल्स
In addition, on the clinics, schools, radio and TV programs alone, approximately £3 million were spent.
इसके अलावा भी फिर
Also, aside from the normal expenses, a vast amount is being spent on expenditure on construction projects elsewhere.
जो हमारे मिशंस हैं उसमें
For example, in Africa,
जाती है
where a grant is sent from the Markaz, in 35 countries, there are 178 central Muballighin and 1078 central Muallimin. A large proportion of their expenditure is fulfilled by the Markaz, the center. In addition, 41 countries receive a grant from the Markaz. There are Muballighin number 243, and there are 928 local Muallimin, or teachers. Further, there are numerous mosques being constructed. A mosque is being constructed in Ireland. Although the Ireland Jamaat have also given a large contribution towards this, however, some expenditure or the other, amounting to almost half, had to be given by the Markaz. A mosque in Valencia, Spain is being constructed. Approximately 80% of the expense is being covered by the Markaz. The Kampala Mosque in Uganda is being extended. Virtually the entire expenditure is being covered by the Markaz. Similarly, they are giving towards the mosque being constructed in Ivory Coast.
अफ्रीका के मुख्तलिफ 19 ममालिक हैं जिनमें
There are 19 countries in Africa where 99 mosques have been constructed and 46 mission houses.
और इनमें से तकरीबन 65 मसाजिद
The expenditure of approximately 65 of the 99 mosques was fulfilled by the Markaz, the center. The Markaz also gave the expenditure for the mission houses. There are also other countries where 26 mosques were constructed and 73 mission houses were established.
बांग्लादेश में 2 इंडिया में 40
In Bangladesh 2, in India 14, Philippines 1, in Nepal 3,
गुटेमाला मार्शल आइलैंड
and in Guatemala and Marshall Islands and so on, the Markaz gave the expenditure.
तलबा की लिए जो टैलेंटेड स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनके लिए तकरीबन 4000
There are talented students. Approximately 4,500 of such students were given a stipend by the Markaz in the form of hundreds of thousands of pounds, or some were given Qarz-e Hasana or loans.
स्टूडेंट ऐसे हैं
Amongst them, there are 350 such students who are studying in higher education, MSc, PhD, and so on, for whom the Jamaat is bearing their expenditure. Further, in Africa, there are projects relating to water, electricity, and radio stations. All such projects are carried out through the Markaz grant, the grant from the center. Thus, these tasks are carried out for the progress of the Jamaat. It is to enlighten the world with regards to the teachings of Islam, and it is the work of service to humanity. All of these endeavors are such with those who partake in them, who cannot directly be involved in those projects, are included in them as a result of giving chanda. They are included amongst such people who, as a result of becoming a part of these efforts, receive reward from Allah the Almighty. With regards to these African countries, do not consider that they are completely reliant upon the Markaz. As I mentioned earlier, they are carrying out many projects themselves. Do not assume that they do not do anything on their own. For this reason, I shall also present some incidents relating to the African countries before you. In the Upper West region of Africa, a lady, Mrs. Fatima Daoud, purchased some land herself and commenced constructing a mosque in which 300 people can comfortably offer their prayers. Similarly, near Accra in the village of Lamnara, many conversions took place. There the members of the Jamaat constructed a mosque themselves. In fact, this Jamaat was spread in various areas. Thus, they started constructing 6 mosques, amongst which 4 are already constructed and 2 are under construction. The construction of one of these mosques was undertaken by a lady, Sadika Sahiba herself, and in this mosque 150 people can worship. This lady has already built a mosque in the Accra city previously. Hafiz Jibreel Saeed is a missionary in Ghana. He says in the central Rina Akutsi, a large mosque is being constructed. 50% of his expenditure is being given by a High Court judge there, Kaku Jan Sahib. Nowadays, Jibreel Saeed Sahib is ill. The doctors have not been able to diagnose his illness and ascertain what it is. Please pray for him also that Allah the Almighty grants him full recovery and cure. Amir Sahib, that is the national president of the Ahmadiyya community in France, went on a visit to Marrakesh. He says there, I found 9 new members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community filled with devotion and sincerity. They had profuse affection for Khilafat. The matter pertaining to financial sacrifice and the extracts to the promised Messiah on whom be peace were read out and explained to him. A few days after, one of them came to the Sadr Sahib, the local president, and gave him a large amount of money. He said, I am giving the chanda due from the time I became an Ahmadi until now, because previously I had not known of the injunctions of the promised Messiah on whom be peace, nor heard the counsel from the Khalifa. Now that I know about it, I cannot remain behind. Askar Ali Bhatti Sahib from Niger writes, during preaching in October 2011 last year, I reached Agreta Brau village. After the Maghrib prayer, preaching commenced. After the Isha prayer, I showed them video of various tours. I also showed them the video of the Jalsa and also different programs with regards to mosques. I also showed them programs regarding preaching. I also informed them regarding the advent of the Imam Mahdi. I also explained to them the system of Baitul Mal. When I informed them and the video ended, because all of this was in the video, there an Imam Sahib stood up. He addressed the Hausa people and then he left the mosque. We became worried by this. However, a short while after, that Imam returned. He stated, now we have learned that the Imam Mahdi has come and the system of Baitul Mal is established. I took all of these people outside because I felt that we should partake in this system and we should fully contribute towards Chanda. Subsequently, he had immediately collected some amount of money and given it to our missionary. Alongside this, he signed the bet form, the form of initiation into the community. Amir Sahib, the national president of Uganda, writes that on 18th September of the previous year, a meeting was called of the Majlis-e-Amla and also some other members of the Jamaat. A plan was presented for a 3-year construction of the Sita land. It was proposed that this land could be prepared to utilize as a Jalsa Gah. This land is at a distance of 9 miles from the Kampala headquarters, where the Jamaat has land of 17 acres. He says, in this meeting, many affluent people made prompt promises and started giving some amounts of money. Although the value of the Kenyan shilling is quite low, but on their own merit, they immediately gave more than 83 million Kenyan shillings, which was in order to see this project completed. Thus, the Ahmadis of wealthy countries should not assume that perhaps the poorer countries are completely dependent upon them. Rather, in accordance with their own capacities, in fact, even beyond their capacities, these people are making sacrifices. In any case, today, as you are aware, I am referring to sacrifice because I am going to announce a new year of Tehreek-e-Jadid. As per the tradition, I will also present some details of the past year. Thus, after mentioning these few matters earlier regarding what the standard of sacrifice of an Ahmadi should be, I shall now present these details. This was the 78th year of Tehreek-e-Jadid that ended on 31st October. The 79th year of Tehreek-e-Jadid has now begun from the 1st of November. In accordance with the reports received thus far, this year, 7,215,700 pounds was sacrificed by the Jamaat. This is an increase of approximately 584,700 pounds from the previous year. Despite of adverse circumstances and poverty in Pakistan, it has maintained its position. After Pakistan, amongst the large Jamaats outside of Pakistan, the United States of America stands at the first position. Thereafter, Germany comes at the second position. At third is Britain. Canada comes at fourth. India is at fifth. Indonesia at sixth. At seventh is Australia. Switzerland is at the 8th position, and Belgium is at 9th. Belgium and Ghana are just side by side. There is somewhat of an error here. The order will actually be as such: the United States at first, Germany at second, Britain at third, at fourth Canada, India at fifth, Indonesia at sixth. Then there is a Jamaat of the Middle East at 7th. I am not mentioning its name. Australia is at 8th, Switzerland at 9th, and then Belgium. And Belgium and Ghana are more or less just next to Switzerland. The rank of the first 10 large Jamaats in terms of the increase, in terms of the currency and rate of contribution. At first place is that same Arab country. At second is Australia, then India, there is Germany, and then the United States. Belgium comes after, Canada, Britain, Indonesia, and then France is the first thereafter amongst the European countries. The rank in terms of per person contribution, the first is a Middle Eastern country at a rate of £156 or £157 per person. Then the United States of America at £118 per person. Then there is Switzerland, Japan, Britain, France, Canada, Norway, Germany, and then Australia.
इसी तरह सिर्फ रकम में इजाफा नहीं हुआ,
There's not only been an increase in the overall amount of contribution, but also with the grace of the Almighty Allah, the quantity of the sincere contributors have also increased.
1,80,000 का इजाफा
It has increased by 180,000. In this way, there are now 911,000 contributors to Tariq-e-Jadid. Last year, there were 731,000 contributors. Amongst the Jamaats of Africa, in terms of total collection, Ghana is at the top rank. Then there is Nigeria, Mauritius, Burkina Faso, Kenya, Benin, Uganda, Tanzania, Gambia, and Sierra Leone. Because these are poor countries, I have kept them separate, relatively speaking. Albeit in terms of sacrifice, they are progressing greatly with the grace of Almighty Allah. In terms of the highest increase in contributors, Nigeria is not only the highest in terms of the African countries, but highest in terms of the entire world. This year, they have increased their contributors by 64,419. Subsequently, after this extraordinary increase, in terms of total contributors to Tariq-e-Jadid, Nigeria has now attained the second rank after Pakistan. There are more than 150,000 contributors now to Tariq-e-Jadid in Nigeria. Similarly, in terms of highest increase in contributors amongst the African countries, there is Niger, Benin, Burkina Faso and Sierra Leone deserving of mention. Ghana should also try to progress in this way. The total number of Mujahideen in Daftar Awwal is 5,927, amongst whom 285 are still alive giving their own chanda. The remaining accounts are being given by their progeny, inheritors or otherwise. In terms of total collection, the top three large Jamaats of Pakistan is Lahore, Rabwa at second and then Karachi at third. The 10 cities who in terms of sacrifice made significant contributions: Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Sialkot, Quetta, Sargodha, Faisalabad, Mirpur Khas, Nawabshah, Peshawar, Bahawalpur. The districts who made significant sacrifices: first Umarkot, Shekarpur at second, Gujranwala, Badin, Sangar, Narowal, Bahawalnagar, Hyderabad, Rahim Yar Khan and then Mirpur, Azad Kashmir and Khanewal. The top 5 Jamaats in the United States of America in terms of sacrifice: first Los Angeles Inland Empire, Columbus, Ohio at second, Silicon Valley at third, then Detroit, and then Harrisburg. In terms of collection, the top Jamaats in Germany: Cologne at first, then Rodemark, Neuss, Koblenz, Floresheim, Mahdiabad, Dries, Rauenholm South, Fulda, and Weingarten. Collection-wise, the top Ahmadiyya in Germany. Previously, the Jamaats were mentioned, but now it is the Ahmadiyya. First is Hamburg, then Frankfurt, then Grossgaro, Darmstadt, Wiesbaden, Mannheim, Distenbach, Offenbach, and Riekstedt. In terms of total collection of the large Jamaats here of your United Kingdom, the top 10 is Masjid Fazal at first, New Malden thereafter, then West Hill, Worcester Park, Beit al Futur, Brains Park, Mosque West, Cheam, Manchester South, and Birmingham Central. Region-wise, the first position is London region, at second is Midland region, and North East region is at third. The top positions of the small Jamaats where there are less members: Scunthorpe is first, Bromley and Lewisham at second, then there is Bournemouth, Leamington Spa, and Oxford. Collection-wise, the Jamaats in Canada deserving of mention: first Calgary, then Edmonton, Peace Village East, Surrey East, Peace Village Centre, Woodbridge, Brampton, Flowertown, Mississauga West, Vaughan North, Maple, and Montreal East. The top 10 provinces in India is Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Bengal, Karnataka, Orissa, Punjab, Delhi, and UP. The top 10 Jamaats in India in terms of sacrifices: at first Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu;
नंबर 2 केरला केरला,
at second Karulai, Kerala;
कालीकट केरला,
then Calicut, Kerala; then Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh; then Qadian at 5th;
6 पे कनानूर टाउन,
at 6th is Kannur town, Kerala; then is Calcutta, Bengadi;
माथुटुम केरला,
Matatum, Kerala is next, then Chennai, and then Tamil Nadu.
तहरीक-ए-जदीद के ताल्लुक से
In relation to Tehreek-e-Jadid, a few incidents that have been written by certain Jamaats I shall also present before you. From Kumasi, Jibrail Said Sahib has related, I said to him that the number of contributors should increase, that Ghana should have at least 100,000 contributors. This target has not yet been attained. Now you have partaken greatly, but still efforts were not adequately made. If you had raised awareness properly, this would have increased. Amir Sahib Gambia writes that a missionary of the Farafina area informed that one day an elderly lady came to the mission house. She asked our missionary that who gives the highest amount of Janda of Tehreek-e-Jadid in this area. She was told that there is a person here by the name of Mr. Sambujan. He gives the most Janda towards Tehreek-e-Jadid. She said, how much does he give? She was told that he gives 50,000 dalasi. This lady previously gave 1,500 dalasi. She said, although I do not have the required means or resources, but still I am going to compete with this person. With the grace of Almighty Allah, I am going to give more Jannah than this. Amir Sahib of Spain writes that Miss Wafaur Rahman is a new Ahmadi. She heard my Friday sermon of Tehreek-e-Jadid of the previous year. Afterwards, she gave a promise of 500 euros and promptly gave it there and then. After she gave the Janda of Tehreek-e-Jadid, she was also provided details of the other Jandas. She was told that because you have newly initiated, there is no restriction upon you, you can give as much as you wish. However, on that same day, she gave the remaining Jandas according to the rate, Janda Am, Janda Jalsa Salana, and so on. The missionary in charge of Switzerland writes, a friend who is the Sadr of the New Shuttle Jamaat and also the National Secretary Tehreek-e-Jadid informed that when he came to Switzerland and requested for asylum, the relevant department promptly rejected this. During this time, the announcement of the new year of Tehreek-e-Jadid was made. He had a total of 1,000 francs in his account, which he had kept aside for the lawyers, etc. However, after listening to the announcement of the new year of Tehreek-e-Jadid, he gave that entire amount towards Janda, trusting Allah the Almighty. He prayed to God the Exalted that He is the real Naimul Vakil, the best advocate. He will make good everything for me. Through the blessings of Janda, Allah the Almighty descended His grace upon him. Allah not only helped him from the unseen, but his accept for asylum was requested. He obtained citizenship. He did not require appeal or even lawyers. Our missionary from Kyrgyzstan writes that a Kyrgyz friend, Mr. Jumart, took the initiation in 2006. He's an extremely pious youngster. Immediately after the initiation, our missionary, in order to explain to him regarding Janda, said that others entice people to join the community by giving money. However, we take money from those who enter our community. Upon this, he replied that I will give 300 of the Kyrgyz currency monthly for Janda. A short while after, he increased this to 400. A short while after that, he increased it to 800. And then after some time, without anyone saying anything to him, he increased this to 1,000 som per month. When he was going to write his promise for Tehreek-e-Jadid, it was only a short while after he had taken the initiation. He wrote down an amount of 1,000 som. This was beyond his financial means. It was explained to him that for now, write a small amount and then gradually increase this. After a lengthy debate and discussion, he finally reduced this somewhat. The Sadr Sahib of Ireland writes that a young couple decided that whenever they would be granted children, they would dedicate the children's lives. They had already thought up names for their future children, but the wife was not yet expecting. A few days after, they wrote out Janda receipts for both their children for Tehreek-e-Jadid. They paid this for one boy and one girl. Allah the Almighty rewarded the sacrifice that a few weeks later, they learned that the wife was expecting and twins were due to be born. Subsequently, Allah the Almighty granted them with healthy twins. It is a firm belief of this couple that Allah the Almighty granted them these healthy twins because they had given Janda for their children. There is a report from India. The Sadr Jamaat of Coimbatore writes that as a result of increasing the chanda of Tariq-e-Jadid beyond means, Allah the Almighty displayed from His extraordinary might 2 faith-inspiring incidents. In order to fulfill this promise, I was engaged constantly in prayers to Allah the Almighty, when suddenly one person came to my shop. He paid for my goods at a much greater value than they were at. As a result of this, at that very time, I was able to fulfill my promise. He said during this time, a fire suddenly broke out in the warehouse of the area. A large amount of my money was stored there. Whilst praying, I arrived at the warehouse. I was astonished beyond all bounds, where other people's goods and provisions had all burnt. There, with the grace of the Almighty Allah, my goods were all completely safe. The fire was so intense that the metal roof of the warehouse had melted. This area is the abode of Muslims who are always engaged in our opposition. However, after this, all of them have started respecting me greatly. This is purely the blessings of giving chanda. Whenever I remember this incident, my heart is filled with praise and gratitude. Then the inspector of Tariq-e-Jadid, S.M. Bashiruddin Sahib, writes the following. Jamaat Ahmadiyya reached Kawarti Lakshti. There, a Tarbiyati Jalsa was being held under the supervision of the local Sadr. There, I delivered a speech regarding the superiority, blessings, and rewards of Tariq-e-Jadid. Thereafter, all members wrote down increased promises for Tariq-e-Jadid. Women were also present in this gathering behind the parda or screen. He said the following day I went to another city. The Mirza of Kawarti informed by phone that a lady, Bibi Sahib, has complained that chanda Tariq-e-Jadid has been taken from the men, but we the women have been deprived. Today I have come to realize the significance of chanda Tariq-e-Jadid. My heart says that the promise I had given is low, therefore double my promise. The lady is an extremely sincere and devout Ahmadi woman. 6 years previously, she accepted Ahmadiyyat. Muhammad Shah Sahib, Inspector Tariq-e-Jadid of Andhra Pradesh, writes, a sincere Ahmadi lady of Secunderabad writes that with regards to Tehreek-e-Jadid, she established a pious example. The husband of the lady was ill the previous year and was being treated in hospital for a long period of time. Because of a lot of travel, she was not able to give the chanda of Tariq-e-Jadid. Her daughter's wedding was also going to soon occur. The secretary of Tariq-e-Jadid appealed to this wife regarding paying Tariq-e-Jadid. She immediately gave the amount of Tariq-e-Jadid and said, do not mention this to my husband because I left this money aside for my daughter's wedding, which I am now giving with her consent and happiness. It should be the case that the Jamaat immediately help such people who make such sacrifices. 2 sincere young Ahmadi men from Coimbatore are in partnership in business. They write that in the previous year, both of us had promises of 10,000 rupees each. This year, we wrote down our promises with an increase of 100,000 rupees each. They wrote to me requesting for prayers to be unable to give this amount. They said our business was very weak and we were extremely concerned as a result of this. However, Allah the Almighty's blessing descended. They were able to carry out such a trade or transaction through which exactly 220,000 rupees profit was received, and thus they fulfilled their promises. A young Ahmadi lady of Samara Circle, Rajasthan, would earn her livelihood by tending to the goats of the village. Her name is Musammad Zamiri Begum. When an appeal was made to her for Jannah Tariq-e-Jadid, she gave all her earnings from tending the goats and whatever was already in her purse. Thus, as I stated, the standard of sacrifice of the poor people is extremely elevated in comparison to those who are wealthy. Similarly, in Jamaat Ahmadiyya, Namara Circle, Kota, an appeal was made to a new Ahmadi lady. She subsequently told her 14-year-old daughter to give 50 rupees. The daughter replied that I have 100 rupees and that is the amount that I will give. Even though the mother told her not to, the daughter gave 100 rupees of chanda. This is in India. With the grace of Almighty Allah, the standard of financial sacrifice is greatly increasing. Albeit the Markaz, the center, carry out expenditure in India, they are making efforts to stand upon their own 2 feet. May Allah the Almighty bless all those who make financial sacrifices and also bless their money. The rich people and the wealthy Jamaats should always be those who help along their weaker brothers and smaller Jamaats to excel, and those who always maintain and establish the spirit of sacrifice. May Allah make this so. This is so that the true teachings of Islam can remain established in the world. When we all move forward together, it is then that we will be able to convey the true message of Islam to the world. May Allah make it so that the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim community, become those who recognize the ardent devotee of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, so that a true atmosphere of brotherhood and love can be established in the world, and so that the banner of the Holy Prophet ﷺ is raised aloft all over the entire world. May Allah the Almighty enable this to be so.
أشهد أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر